In Chapter 8 of Race and Racisms, we're going to discuss educational inequality. First, we discuss the problem, and then we try and find the solution. On page 219 of Race and Racisms, we discover that educational opportunities have not been equal to all races or ethnicities. At one point, Chinese immigrants were banned from public schools. Enslaved Africans and their children were even banned from learning how to read and write. Children of mixed races and ethnicities had to go to separate and unequal schools. Affirmative action was taken to combat discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Page 226, that is what is discussed on that page. On page 230 of Race and Racisms, we learned that Asian students are outperforming other students, and this has led to model minority myth, which is defined as Asians who have the racial majority group that has succeeded. In the United States, even today, Asians are completely dominating in everything and wildly succeeding in all fields. On page 232 of Race and Racisms, we learn about achievement gap, which discusses the educational gap of different races and ethnicities. On page 234 of Race and Racisms, it is said that children from working class backgrounds tend to fare less in school than children from middle class or wealthy families. On page 235, it said that culture is a factor because of a disconnect between students and teachers. On page 235, we also discuss oppositional culture, which is defined as a thesis in which black children receive signals from black children that reject schooling as a route to success due to widespread discrimination and identity to dominate white culture. In Chapter 8, page 241 of Race and Racisms, the definition of school to prison pipeline comes up, which is defined as a set of practices that lead to children being funneled from public schools to juvenile hall. On page 242 of Race and Racisms, it says it's because of suspensions rates rising of children who don't want to behave or conform to the rules. Mm-hmm. And for more information, I'm going to interview a principal at a local elementary school here in Whittier, California. I'm here talking to Kim Songer. Kim Songer, she's the principal of Ocean View Elementary School. Ms. Songer, I wanted to ask you, do you have any programs or support for students of color or for their families?
Well, first of all, we are a school of about 700 kids. We are highly, about 85% Hispanic. So our demographics leans toward our Hispanic kiddos, and we have lots of different cultures and religions and diversity of kids here. There are not specific programs that lean just for one demographic or another, but we have a lot of supports for families in general at our school.
Okay. What is the demographic of your student population?
Like I said, we're mostly Hispanic here. This is a high-performing kind of middle-class to upper-middle-class school, so I think our students that do struggle the most and need the most support are typically our kids that are more socioeconomically disadvantaged, which means, finances might be an issue, where they might be living with other family members. They don't have the support that they need within the family. So those kinds of issues happen with all of our kids, black, brown, white, yellow. All of our kids that have lack of family support are the ones that we see struggling the most.
Okay, one more question. What challenges do you see students and families of color experiencing here at this school?
Yeah, I think right now, especially coming off of COVID, we have a lot of students with regulation issues where they're really struggling to be at school, to want to be a good student, to make good choices at school. So we have a school social worker in place. We have programs where we try to engage our families in math nights and PTA activities. So keeping our families engaged, all of our families, regardless of their demographic, is how we keep our kids engaged and how we keep everyone's supporting their education so that we have a good wraparound support for all of our kids. But if we have kids that need additional support, we have layers of an MTSS team, which stands for multiple tiers of support for our kiddos. So we have layers of academic support for kids, we have layers of behavioral support, and we have layers of social emotional support for kids of all demographics.